Is it possible that one of the most amazing mysteries of Russian history about the sleeping tsarevna, which is hundreds of millions of years old, will soon be solved? The correspondent went to the hidden body along the route first indicated by one of the eyewitnesses. Recall, in 2002 in the Caucasus newspaper published a note, the classified officer told about the Kuzbes village near Tisulan, and that there, at the coal mine in 1969, dug up a marble coffin, and it was filled with pink-blue, crystal-clear liquid, and in it rested a woman of unusual beauty. It seemed that the woman was not dead, but asleep. And then there was a cordon, a helicopter, a professor from Novosibirsk. The find was taken somewhere, and there were words about possible dating. More than 800 million years, and therefore the woman is older than mankind, and since then, years have passed. Modern science history about Arzhavchik and Tisulskaya princess, so now in Peopled Up the Sleeping denies, saying that there are no supporting facts, and there are no direct eyewitnesses. Miners are dead. But the rumor is growing, and the princess is believed not only in her native Tisulsky district, but also in the country and in the world. After all, it is important for us, going into the future, especially now, in the pandemic, to know who lived the same way in the history of the earth. Even in an incredibly distant time, what he was like, how he loved and dreamed, and where he was also going, and why and how irrevocably mistaken. So the letter I received after years of searching lifted instantly. Its author stated that he knew where to look for the trace of the Tissel princess, and the boys found themselves in the right place not entirely by chance, near the building, part of which was occupied by cartographers. Lyova's late uncle was a pilot cartographer. He remembered my uncle's sketches of ancient ruins. And that's why I could not tear myself away from this pile of documents by the garage. I already saw in them in my imagination the key to unraveling those stone cities, explains Lev. But then it became clear that the laboratory of a completely different department was moving out. Yes, I don't remember the name of this institute and laboratory, but yes, that day there were piles of documents with piles of vials, shelves with pallets. It looked like an archive. And near this stuff I was lucky enough to hear snippets of conversations between employees. They were defending their rights to the premises, and also among them was a conversation about the death of the manager and the mummy from Tissel. There were strange words. Tissel, rusty, helicopter, expedition, underexplored liquid, sarcophagus, state secret. Somehow, one said, I'll have the guys help me move my most valuable stuff into my personal garage, and that he had already moved some stuff, and I kept thinking that nobody needs all this stuff, and how could I move it to my barn? And so the two boys sat upstairs till dark. There was an employee on duty at the exhibits, and it got very cold. We agreed among ourselves that we'd come early when no one else was there. And in the morning, not a speck of dust was left. Where's this place? Have you seen the sarcophagus? And if not, where would it be stored and where would it be taken? My questions couldn't be held back. After all, here it was, the thread of the magic ball to the magic princess. But Ozrov and I were half a country apart. He gave us instructions on how to find it. And although both of us realized that too many years had passed and it was unlikely that the laboratory had left a trace, we had to try. Although I myself have not seen the Tissel princess, but I am convinced this event has a place. Embellished reality rather than embellished fiction. And why do I believe and trust? Because he, on the recommendation of another eyewitness who heard about the princess from a reliable source, I know Kuzbas, and Ozrov is also from a lineage of priests and pioneers with a rabid thirst for knowledge of the world. And the latter is strong in me. And then, in the Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences, not at our address, I was told about the Tissel princess. Interesting, but we heard for the first time, and that their premises at our address were not there. And the Wright House, an old 5-story building, turned out to be a post-Soviet center of offices, civil service and food delivery, lawyers and trading companies, and whomever I asked about the Soviet laboratory that may have once existed, all of them were throwing up their hands, and in the lowest ones in the building. In the beauty salon, in the studio theater, regretfully said, wow, what a miracle, but this is the first time we've heard of it. Viktor Lonkin, ex-head of the Tisulsky district, drove coal from the open pit mine in 1969, never saw any sarcophagus, and considers the Tisulskaya princess only a legend. But to find traces of a sarcophagus, it is necessary to proceed from logic of that time. The sarcophagus would have been stored in a garage-type storage unit with a freezer or in a basement. Perhaps the most suitable place is the basement with a high ceiling of the House of Officers. There, secretly, it would be possible to bring the sarcophagus, and there would be no shame to receive dignitaries and show it to them, led the route further Ozerov. But even there, a 5-minute walk away, in the Museum of the House of Officers, I was told, including referring to a worker with a labor experience here since the 1960s. We know everything about our cellars. The laboratory has never been here, and the princess may be kept in another city and place. Grandmother Alina Karatnikova, a miner from Arshavchik, considers the Tissel princess a fairy tale, but many are convinced that it is a true story. More than one. But what if she was buried back in 1969 right in the birch trees near Arshavchik, and for science only the liquid from the coffin in a container taking? Buried, because it was a similar case? St. Petersburg researcher Mikhail Gerstein brought Kuzbes a fragment from the diary of the monk Stefano and Fescher about a case that occurred in the XV century near Rome. In March 1485, workers near the road excavated the foundation of a certain crypt, found a marble coffin covered with marble slab and leaded. When they opened it, they found the imperishable body of a woman embalmed with fragrant liquids, with a golden net or cap on her head, with golden hair around her forehead and a blush on her cheeks, as if she were still alive. For several days she was kept in the palace of the rulers, where the air caused her face to change color and become completely black, but her dress remained intact. When the authorities were determined to bury her in the same coffin near the pool in the courtyard of their palace, Pope Innocent ordered her to be buried at night in an unknown place behind the Porta Pincina Inn, a nearby peasant's yard, which was carried out. In Pushkin's tale of the dead tsarevna, it was almost like rust. Of course, the researcher explained, the girl's body was not too old, it was at most ancient Roman, and perhaps it was this or another similar case, and then formed the basis of the legend of the princess, plus could be the prototype of the message about the discovery of the mummy of the Altai princess in 1993. But the shamanist from Kuzbes in the Altai Mountains is among those who believe that the princess is real. After all, having visited the place, she got in touch with her. And here is her description. I saw a slender, beautiful woman of about 25 years old with long blonde hair, wearing a white lace dress. All night long I had her words in my head. Soon it will be hungry and poor. And we didn't know what the world was going to be facing in a year and a half. That the coronavirus was coming. And even though it's not what she said it would be, the world is changing. Where's she buried? Her spirit led you to the burial site. The first or the second? It doesn't matter. What matters is that she was and lived. Meanwhile, 5 simple questions Kuzbes asked about the princess, according to the first description of 2002 famous Russian researchers. Valentin Sapanov, academician, professor, doctor of biological sciences, and Mikhail Gerstein, writer, biologist, chairman of the Ufological Commission of the Russian Geographical Society. Is the existence of civilizations before the emergence of mankind possible? Gerstein. Human civilizations before the emergence of Homo sapiens are impossible. Non-human civilizations are not excluded. Sapanov. The existence of ancient extinct civilizations is theoretically possible. If the princess is a legend, does it mean that there was nothing at all? Gerstein. It's a fake. Sapanov. The plot does not arise from nothing, if only because people's imagination is limited. If the princess is real, what kind of liquid could be in the coffin? And the girl was dead or asleep in anabiosis. Gerstein. In history, people have often used large amounts of embalming fluid in a hermetically sealed coffin to isolate the body from the air. Sapanov. Organics can be preserved by freezing or impregnating them with a preservative, but of course they will be absolutely dead. And anabiosis is unattainable for humans. That's one of the myths created by 1960s science fiction, as, by the way, is interstellar travel. Now on this topic, experts have an unequivocal opinion. Even in the very distant future is not seen solutions that allow you to fly to other stars. Maybe in the distant future science will give fundamentally new approaches to such solutions. But what if the princess is still a state secret? Gerstein. Secrets of this scale are very difficult to preserve, and maybe even impossible. In the days of perestroika, they would have come out. Sapanov. There are no significant scientific secrets in the depths of the special services. They are not interested in purely scientific questions. So still, your opinion, Tisselskaya princess. Reality or fairy tale? In 2002 it was written that it was found at a depth of 70 meters. But in fact, the depth of mining operations in 1969 there was 24, 27 meters. Gerstein. A hoax. Besides, in the note the discovering coal is 800 million years old, and the Carboniferous period began 360 million years ago and ended 300 million years ago. Sapunov: I have not been specifically engaged in this issue, and the doubts here are serious. Even such a small touch, such as the discrepancy between the depth of the excavation and the truth, leads to some skepticism.